and we should hopefully be live. Once I just double check that we've got everything up on over on the Twitch. Just bear with me 1 second, everybody. And yeah, there we go. Hello everybody and welcome to Brands Hatch for the first in a historic moment here at the NRL. It is our first GT Sport League race. You're joined by your commentator Tucson Otoe, who is myself, and unfortunately no one else will be joining me for this first race here in the sunny hills of Kent in the UK for round 1 of the GT Sport Championship. We've got a very stacked grid here, very diverse field of cars. Going to be all Group 3 the entire season, and we're going to start here in Brands Hatch, and we're going to end the season off at a different track round about, well, February time next year, hopefully. So, off the track there immediately, actually his lead is he's actually sort of held up Tim there on an outlap and has actually caused contact with the Scout Dan as well, but Aston will be the first person round to start that. That's right on board now with the Englishman in the Aston Martin as he comes over the line to start the first ever lap here in the NRL GT Sport League. Down through turn 1, 4th gear in the Aston, heading up towards Druids Corner, braking just before the Palmer Sport Bridge over the track. Keep the car nice and tight to the apex and nice and tight to the curb, back on the power once again, and then heading downhill towards the next corner. Brake just as the curb starts on the right, a 3rd gear corner, even in Group 3 cars, and back on the power once again, then braking just before the one board on the right hand side of the circuit, getting the car nicely turned in there, does Aston, and back on the power once again. It's a very important corner here. It affects your run all the way down this back straight. In the Aston Martin as well, a car that has got very good acceleration indeed, as we watch Aston head up into the next corner. Very challenging this one. I'm going to keep the car nice and tight to the apex as you can in 4th gear still, and then 3rd gear shifting down just after you go past the one board once again, back on the power for the Brit in the Aston Martin, and back out towards probably the hardest corner on this track, slowing down over the curb in 4th gear, then back on the power. Don't get on the grass on the exit, it will affect your run. 3rd gear now through the penultimate corner of the lap and coming up towards the final corner. Very easy to dip a wheel into the gravel here on the left hand side on exit, and if you do that, it's going to drag you completely off track, and Aston will complete the first ever lap in the GT Sport NRL Championship. It's going to be a 1 minute 24.3 on a set of the medium tyres, and that immediately gets beaten by a Bonneville, Wiggly Style and Attengren now. It was gone fast on the 1 minute 22.8, that being done on the soft tyres there for Attengren. And how the championship will work here. So in qualifying, the tyres that you start on will be the tyre that you do qualifying on and start the race with. So if you start on the mediums, all of your laps in qualifying must be done on the mediums, and then you will also start on that compound of tyre as well. And the 3 compounds of tyre are available, the soft, the medium, and indeed the hard tyre. You must use 2 compounds during the race, as Colonel Sanders now goes to the pole, the 1 minute 22.3, 4 tenths clear of Attengren in the Mercedes. And Colonel Sanders there for the DWT team, both in the red, very nicely coloured red BMWs. As his teammate, the WTC Vines there, being let through. Going back up here to Wiggly Star, who's a stand-in for this race, using the Supra, giving Aston with a very nice tow there up towards the line, and it's going to be an improvement perhaps for the Finn. It's a 1 minute 22.5, so it brings him within touching distance there, Colonel Sanders, but still not close enough. The very low fuel consumption for this season in the NRL. Trying to encourage more wheel-to-wheel action on the track with cars that's going to hopefully battle each other. Everything nicely up and running. Let's have a look at the chat. Good evening, Black Country Mesh, part of the BCR esports team. representing them today, we have Bon Evil in the Corvette. Unfortunately, Tiger Assassin could not be contacted to step in for this race, so it's just Bonnie here in the Sol BCR car. One-off British livery for the British Grand Prix for the British team, so there you go indeed. Very British theme. So Colonel Sanders then coming back into the pit lane. So watch as the DWT crew go to work. Fresh set of the soft tyres get put on the car, no fuel put in, and back out onto the track. 12 minutes left to go in qualifying. The race will be 50 minutes long at every single track, and we do have a few wet races in store for you as well in Austria. We'll get to test the driver's mettle in the wet conditions as well. To the calendar. So Colonel Sanders now still coming back out onto the track for an outlap at the moment. His nearest challenger, Asmgren, going through Druids now, turn number 2. So after this race we'll be headed to Lago Maggiore straight after next week, when we're going to Spielberg in Austria for the only wet race of the season. We then head over to Australia, Mount Panorama, very popular track among drivers, and then we have a 2-week Christmas shutdown to allow all of the drivers to spend some time with their families over the Christmas break, and we're straight back into it in January next year in Monza in Italy, and then Tokyo Expressway in the dark for these drivers. Then it will be the Circuit de la Sarthe in France, Le Mans as it's more commonly known, Sardinia A for round 8, Spa-Francorchamps, another legendary track, and then rounding out the season at the Nürburgring. It will be a very enthralling season. I'm hoping that the championship battle will go absolutely down to the wire, as the point system as well. So it'll be 13 points for a win here, and then the points will decrease as we go down the grid. Only the top 8 finishers in each race will receive points from the race, and there are also 2 points available for pole position and 1 point available for fastest lap during the race. So all to play for already here, even in the qualifying sessions. There's a car going off then. I think that was Aston. Yes, Aston off on the exit of turn 1. Big damage there done to the Aston Martin. You will have to limp back to the pits now with just over 10 minutes left to go in this race. Just riding on board there with Aston. So Wiggly Star slowing down there, getting out of the way of the fast moving cars behind him. Bonnie currently on an outlap. Colonel Sanders as well, and Cas Converts coming together in qualifying there though, and that could upset Sanders through the final corner, and in his run up to the line he's actually had to back off the lap there, and he will not be happy with the Porsche of Cas at all. It's very unfortunate for our provisional pole sitter. Asmgren there having a nice stitching as well from Osweider goals in front of him, the 2 Union Esports teammates. As he now makes his way around the final corner. What's it going to be for Asmgren? Can he upset the order as it stands? Yes, he can. Goes on to provisional pole by 200ths of a second. Great stuff there from Asmgren. This is all to play for at the top already, as we're watching Colonel Sanders on his most recent attempt at a qualifying lap. Let's see what lap time he's doing through sector 3. He's a long way down, 7.2 seconds down, and he is backed off that lap as well. We'll see who's the next car to the line. It's going to be Ted to start a lap. As he goes around the outside of his Brothers of Destruction teammate Wolfie through turn 1 up towards Druid's Corner now. These two also representing BCR brands, and indeed a good time to do some shameless plugging. So forget me not, don't forget to use them for your cards and other decorational needs. Interrogator, use them for all of your data protection needs over one of our partners over here at the NRL. And indeed, don't forget to use all metal recycling for all of your metal recycling requirements. And that is a shame the plug's out of the way. Ted getting on with his lap as Cas Converts now goes onto the board with a 1 minute 27.3, so a long way off the pace for him. ETB lead as well, having a bit of a spin there at the final corner, it looks like, and he has hit the wall. Next time across the line will be Bonnie in the Corvette, still quite a ways down there. Wrigley Styles still in third position, albeit 1.1 seconds behind, and I think that's Attengren off there in the gravel. Indeed it is Attengren off in the gravel at turn 1, so that will be that particular flying lap over. Colonel Sanderps now peels back into the pit lane for a fresh set of the soft tyres. Ted now goes into 9th position on 1 minute 24.6. Osweiler goes up on their particular time as well in the BMW Union eSports car. Cheetah's up on his time. If he continues with this pace, will put him ahead of Ted as it stands at the moment. And getting a bit of a slipstream there from the scout Dan as well. I don't know if that was intentionally done there by Dan. He's now 6/10 up as the Osweiler goes, but does also have damage there, it turns out, on the front left, but is improving nonetheless. So we'll see if they choose to finish the lap here. Go up here to Dan as well, who looks to be setting a decent time. He's partially up on the best time he's done so far in this qualifying session. As they come now towards the final corner, Osweiler goes right with Dan. Dan will cross the line first, so we'll keep the camera on him. Wrigley Styles now does a 1 minute 22.9, puts himself more than touching distance of the front two. Dan crosses the line, so 1 minute 24 for him, but it's going to be a 1 minute 23.8 there for Osweiler goes. He goes up into position number 5, and for car number 5 there, and good stuff from the British driver at this home race. Here, so still Attengren on provisional pole, then Colonel Sanderps about to start a lap. So you know what we're going to do, we'll do an audio up lap and we'll allow Colonel to go round the lap, and I will be quiet up here in the commentary box. Yes, I've just realised that my mic's been on mute for this entire time. So hello, Natty. Hello, Natty. But yeah, that's not the greatest photo commentary ever. I very foolishly did not remember to turn off the mute button on my microphone. I do believe, though, as I was saying before, that you can... yeah, sure, you can join the commentary, Natty. The party should be open. I think I've added you to it. Just a second here, guys. Yeah, and there we go. So the final qualifying results up there. Attengren will start from pole position and picks up 2 points in the championship race. As I'm going to be joined by ex-Natty G now, so that's very, very fun indeed. Good luck to all indeed, good luck to all of the drivers on the grid as we're going to go to multiple red lights. We'll wait and see how many it is exactly, and we're going to be charging down towards turn 1 to get the NRL GT Sports season kicked off here in Brands Hatch. Good evening, Natty.
Hello.
As the revs build on the start line here, Attengren taking it from the pole, and it's going to be lights out and they're off, and Attengren gets away to a good start. Ben gets an absolute flyer there from 4th on the grid. He's going to go up into 2nd before we even get towards turn number 1. Attengren streaming into the lead, the finished person in the Mercedes, going through turn 1 up towards Druid's Corner. That's Wolfie going wide into the gravel as well, and Vines up the inside of Wiggly Star, and also Widergold's bumping in from behind. Wolfie sneaks around the outside at Druid's Corner, now coming down towards turn number 3, and Ted getting all kinds of out of shape there in the background as well. We had Lead getting out of shape as well. He's up the inside of Aston now as he heads to the end of the 2nd sector and in towards turn number 4, and which leads onto the longest straight on the track. And we'll go back up here to the front where Tim still leads by 9/10 of a second, but Colonel Sanderps putting Bon Evil now under pressure coming up in towards turn number 5.
Yeah, it's a good start for everyone. I think there was a BMW at the back who got off to a slow start, a little bit late, delayed on the 5 red lights. Wolfie's trying to go down the inside now, in towards turn 6, I believe, and gets the job done. Sorry, that was Ted.
Yeah, Ted there up the inside of Widergold's making the move stick. He moves now up into P number 7. Don't forget, only the top 8 drivers in this race score points, and also Widergold's trying immediately to come back at Ted going into the penultimate corner, but nothing doing there on this occasion. So it's going to be Attengren then who leads from pole and leads for the first lap here of the NRL GT Sports season. Benevil's in 2nd, coming under pressure from Colonel Sanderps now up and towards turn number 1. Does the BMW go for a move here into turn number 1? Not on this occasion. Wiggly Style is in 4th, Vines in 5th, with Wolfie in 6th, 10 7, and also Widergold's in the final of the points paying positions. That was Lead going wide and coming under pressure now from the Scout Dan, and indeed from Aston. They're going to go 3 wide into Druids on lap 2 here, and nothing that Lead could do that. Once he had gone wide, Dan's going to try and hold it around the outside of his teammate here, going down in towards turn number 3. Aston's still there on the outside, but Dan keeps the position. I'm going back up to Colonel Sanderps and to Bon Evil now, who are coming onto the back straight, and Colonel has got such a good run now on the Corvette. You would assume there's a move coming pretty soonish here, going up and towards turn number 5, and then looking to the inside now, Colonel Sanderps, but not got enough of a straight line speed advantage to try and challenge the Corvette up and towards the right-hander. But now off the right-hander, had another look there, and I thought I was going to get very up close and personal between those two.
Yeah, good start to this race. Aston wasn't close enough to the back of the Scout Dan to go for a move on through turn 5, but yeah, I think he ran a little bit wide through turn 4, which compromised his exit.
And Wolfie there trying to set up a move on Vines as well. Had a bit of a run coming off the 3rd to last corner. Just having a look now going into the final corner, but Colonel Sanders, you get the feeling it's a matter of when, not if, and the when is now, because Sanders is going up the inside as they come across the start-finish line of Bon Evil, going in towards turn number 1. But do they make the move stick? Yes, they do on the inside, and Colonel Sanders gets back up into position that they qualified in, but now it's 3 seconds behind, and Bon Evil sends it down the inside at Druid's corner. Can Colonel Sanders keep it around the outside? Yes, they can, but they're still going door to door here into turn number 3. There's more contact between the two as Colonel pushes Bonnie onto the curb and going up in towards turn number 4. Now Colonel's on the outside, inside. Bonnie trying to work it now around the outside, get the drive off the corner, get the up and under, use the superior straight line speed of the Corvette, but Bonnie's on the grass, and Bonnie's lost a position now potentially to Wiggly as well.
Yeah, here comes Wiggly with the momentum, but I'm not sure he's going to go for a move. A few corners ago while Bonnie was sending it on Colonel, Wolfie got ahead of Vines and is now up into 5th place. I can hunt down 2 seconds in the gap for this top 3, which Wiggly's going now down the inside of Bon Evil and is now up into the podium position.
And then just like that, Wiggly goes up into the podium, and then Bonnie's hard work from the start. And
someone's stopped on the map. I'm not sure whose that was. I think it might have been Aston's. He's now dropped down to 11th and is losing time to Leeds behind.
And has got front bumper and right suspension damage. So that would back up that particular theory. We've got another car off, that's Osweiler Goals now, who drops behind Lead in the battle for 9th. Yeah, big thank you to all 14 of you, 15 of you now tuning in and watching the race with us. Moving on towards lap number 4 then, DWTC Vines in his pursuit of Wolfie, now 8 tenths behind the Alfa Romeo in front. And on the power once again. So a reminder then that drivers must use 2 different compounds of tyre during the race. Of the soft, the medium and the hard tyres are available for this race weekend.
Sorry, I'm just plugging in my keyboard.
Absolutely fine.
There you go.
As Attengren now sorry.
So I was just going to say, I think what you were going to say, Attengren, with the fastest lap, is now 4 tenths clear of the cars behind. I think that battling with Bonnie, Colonel and Wiggly just cost them so much time in the first sector, and now Atom is looking to run away with this one.
But even without that, he was 1.1 seconds quicker than Colonel on that last lap at 23.6 compared to 1 minute 22.5. We can see they both use similar amounts of fuel as well. But the Colonel really starting to respond on this lap, 9 tenths up on their previous best lap time. So we'll wait and see what the lap times are as they come across the line this time. Going to be Tim across the line first. Let's see what his lap time is. It's going to be a 1 minute 22.7. What can Colonel respond with? It's a 1 minute 22.6. So Colonel a tenth quicker on that last lap. I think he's trying to take the fight to Tim now.
Yeah, and something also interesting to note is the top 3 all on the quicker soft compound tyres. Bonnie starting on the mediums, which will give him the advantage in the second half of the race. Is that someone into the pits early, or is that someone stopped in the start-finish?
That is the Scout Dan going very slowly down the main straight. Has he got a problem there? He's let Osweiler Goals go back through. Maybe there was an altercation between... No, got 2 cars off! And that's Aston and Kaz. Aston and Kaz off for turn number 1.
And because I'm on a keyboard, I can get a replay to see what happened. Replay with Dan is that he went off at the final corner. I think he went one into the gravel. Aston's really interesting crash.
Sorry, yes. Please,
really
could you clip that crash very quickly so we can upload it?
Yes.
That'd be epic, thank you very much.
But it looked like the car in front, I'm not sure who it was, broke earlier than I think Aston was anticipating, tried to go for a gap on the inside, and then the 2 cars kind of just merged into one and then both went off at the first corner.
And that is a big shame for those who it was looking so good for those guys in this race, but they will now drop a long way behind the rest of the pack. And Wolfie here gaining on Bon Evil now, both on the set of the medium compound tyres. But yeah, Bonnie not really having an answer to the pace of the top 3 at the moment, lapping significantly slower than them now.
Yeah, 1.2, 1.3 seconds between the 2. There is quite a big difference between the softs and the mediums at some tracks. Definitely at one so technical, such as Brands Hatch. the softs definitely do have an early advantage. But as the tyre wear kicks in, the mediums will start to work their way into contention, and Wolfie's doing a great job to close down the gap.
Yeah, it really is at this point in time, but let's not underestimate just how much grunt that Corvette has down this back straight here. We saw how hard it was for Colonel to try and get past the Corvette in a straight line. It took Bonnie really having to make a mistake for that move to ever really be on. Yeah, and Bonnie running a special one-off British livery on the BCR esports car. Unfortunately, we don't have two BCR cars in this race. Tiger Assassin could not be contacted.
I'm just watching this battle for 9th place. Dan got a good exit on through turn 4. Wasn't close enough though to go for a move on the BMW in front. Currently running in 10th place for the Porsche, and we'll be looking to get ahead as soon as possible, being on those medium tyres.
I'm trying to change camera views here, but it's not going to let me. Oh, and that's Osweiler's actually off. Osweiler goes off the track. Oh, and he spun back round again, so that brings quite an abrupt end to that battle for 9th. As Aston now goes through up into 10th position, one would have thought. Indeed he does, and Kaz gets on the grass in the background, but keeps it all together there and avoids a crash with Osweiler. Aston Brendan still leads.
Sorry, he's just got on the grass on the left-hand side, tried to maximise the running to turn 8, I believe it was, but dipped a wheel onto the grass, causing his BMW to spin out.
And both times on that last lap, Bonnie and Wolfie doing a 1 minute 24.2, Wiggly style in front of them at 1 minute 23.7. And interestingly here as well, Natty, Wiggly's actually got less tyre wear on those softs than Bonnie and Wolfie behind on the medium. Yes. Two drivers
are off at turn 4. Don't know if there was a collision, but the Scout Dan is off, and I believe it's Leeds in front who went off at turn 4. I'm not sure if there was contact though.
Looks like no damage done at the moment though between those two, so we'll have to wait and see how that one plays out.
Tim with a 4-second lead. He's really starting to... That gap's kind of been consistent since the battle between the 2nd to 4th place kind of separated, and now that gap's kind of maintained around 4 seconds, so he's not really pulling away as much as he was before.
Indeed, and will we see here, potentially, Natty, Colonel coming into the pits, going to another set of the soft tyres when Tim goes to the mediums, or perhaps vice versa, and trying to gain that gap back down on a fresher set of the softer compound, because that gap now has gone up. Tim 2 tenths quicker than Colonel on the last lap.
Yeah, Colonel's lost a lot of time. He's 9 tenths down through the third sector alone, so he might have made a mistake somewhere. It could just be the tyre wear kicking in. His tyres are more worn than Tim, who seems to have conserved his tyre wear compared to Colonel in the opening 8 laps.
Yeah, Tim with much stronger tyre wear, or tyre management, in the early part of this race. That gap now up to almost 5 seconds between the front two, but it's down to 8 tenths between positions number 3 and 4, Bonnie and Wolfie, as they make their way towards the end of lap number 8. So 38 minutes left to run in this session, in this race, round 1 here at Brands Hatch. Next week we'll be in Lago Maggiore for another scintillating bit of action. Interestingly, Lago Maggiore isn't actually in Italy, if you didn't know that, so that's something interesting.
Fact of the day.
Fact of the day, indeed. It's the actual Lago Maggiore is in it's in one of the Italian cantons of Switzerland. It's like half and halfway through. So.
Sorry, someone's off at turn 8. I think that's Chaz Converts in the Porsche. I'll just have a quick replay to see if it was him. No, it wasn't him. It's someone off in front. It was Lead who went off. Is now down to 11th place.
And yeah, those 2 Porsches running into some problems, it looks like, if the rear of this race.
It's nice having a replay feature. I just see a dot off on the map. It's like, what's happened? And I go back 15 seconds and we can find out.
It's incredibly interesting. Yeah, the 2 E-Team Brit cars there running in 10th and 11th position. And you would think, actually, that the race leaders now really are not that far away from starting to lap cars here as head on towards lap number 10.
Yeah, there's been a few mistakes at the back. To be honest, though, it is quite easy to make a mistake at this track. You push just a little bit too much and then you're off into the gravel and you can lose a lot of time. But yeah, it's been a great race from the top two who have really started to push away from the rest of the field. And Wolfie here, he's only 4/10 now behind Bon Evil, who's gone wide on the exit of turn 1. That might be the opportunity Wolfie was hoping for. He's going to send one to the inside, a little bit late on the brakes, but he's managed to get his Alfa Romeo up into 4th place. Bonnie's going to try and fight this one back to the outside, but Wolfie gets the job done.
Great battling there from those two. Bonnie losing the place now to Wolfie on the racetrack. And there will be wanting to try and get back, use the horsepower of that Corvette now down this back straight on the power once again, and the gap's 0.3 of a second. You'd have thought that Bonnie would be close enough here to have a go up and towards turn number 4, or to number 5 even. Just a little bit too far away. He was gaining all the time in the slipstream, but just not enough to try and challenge the Alfa Romeo in front.
And lead is into the pits. Converts has got front damage as damage. So both drivers in 11th and 12th coming into the pits. Maybe there was some contact between the two.
Both of the E-Team Brit cars into the pits then. Lead has not fixed. He's not fixed his damage, and he's going to be lapped here by Attengren as well.
Colonel pits.
And Colonel comes in there. That's an early stop there for Colonel. So Colonel going for the undercut attempt then on Attengren. Thought he was losing too much time on those soft tyres. Goes to a set of. Well, let's wait and see what goes to a set of the mediums now for Colonel. And I think they did, yes, he has refueled there, Natty. So Colonel's refueled. So concerns that the BMW camp, they might be able to go to the end of this race.
And that has closed down the gap behind Wiggly. Obviously not refueling, has closed down the gap. Now less than a second separating the two. Now that gap just going up a little bit on the exit of turn 2, but now Wiggly is back in contention for 2nd place or 4th on the racetrack.
And Bonnie now even further behind Wolfie on this particular occasion, coming down the back straight. So there's going to be some move. There is going to be a move made in towards the next corner. Yeah, a bit too far away on this occasion. Yeah, you can see there though. Colonel's last time they came into the pits at 1 minute 24.0. Attengren's 1 minute 23.6. Will he now respond to Colonel? No, he stays out. So Attengren staying out here, possibly going for a one stop potentially, Natty. As without sorry.
As I said, I think Wiggly and Colonel were trying to pull an undercut, expecting Tim to react to this lap. Obviously, the more laps that Tim stays out for, the fresher his mediums are only going to be at the end of the race.
And the less stops he might have to complete as well. Yeah, 34 minutes left to go in this particular session, so we're 15 minutes in. Attengren still leads a 16-second advantage over Wolfie, who has not stopped in this race. Neither has Bonnie. They both find themselves on the medium, so expect them to go much longer into this race. Colonel Sanderbs, who has stopped, and Wiggly Style, who has also stopped, they find themselves in 4th and indeed in 5th place. To wait and see how this race pans out for them, sorry.
Yeah, and they've caught up to the likes of Bon Evil and Wolfie, who both haven't stopped in this race. So kind of for their strategy to work for them to gain the gap to Attengren, who's leading this race. They need to clear these two cars as quickly as they can before they come into the pits. They're on Warner medium tyres. I would say, on theory, on paper, this should be easy work on being on the fresher tyres, but it's quite hard to overtake here at Brands Hatch.
And coming back up here towards Attengren, we'll see if he does indeed decide to dive into the pit lane. And he does. Attengren in the pits. So we'll have to wait and see where the finish man comes out.
Here goes Colonel, sending one to the inside of Bonnie. He's got a good run on the exit of the penultimate corner. The BMW and the Corvette going to go side by side. Colonel so much later on the brakes into the final corner. Can he make this one stick? They're still going to go wheel to on exit. It's a semi-long run down towards turn 1. Colonel with the slipstream from Wolfie in front. Who's going to be later on the brakes? It looks like it's going to be Bonnie who's going to keep it to the inside. Great racing from these two. But a beautiful move comes for Colonel around the outside. Gets the job done. And now has Wolfie to hunt down in front.
And what a move indeed there from Colonel around the outside at turn 1. But Attengren has pitted and has come out with an absolutely enormous lead. 8.1 seconds now back to Wolfie. Colonel still stuck behind him as they head through turn number 4. But getting a good exit here will be key to having a go down the back straight. How hard will Wolfie choose to defend this? Has not gone defensive at all. Is going to let Colonel go through here. It looks like they're going to go 3 wide. Are they with Kaz on the outside? No problems there for those guys. And Colonel here just stuck once again behind Wolfie at this stage. But the gap out in front has almost doubled.
Yeah, thankfully the back marker got out of the way nicely, otherwise that could have ended in catastrophe. But Colonel needs to get past Wolfie now. That gap is going up and up and up to Attengren, who's leading this race. Wolfie and Bonnie, obviously 2 drivers who haven't pit, but here might be Colonel's chance. He's going for it, pulling alongside the Alfa Romeo, going into the final corner. Can he make this one stick round the outside? And almost a squeeze off the track. Bonnie comes into the pits, and Colonel gets the move done up into 2nd place. It doesn't look like Wolfie can fight this one back on his worn medium tyres.
A great couple of moves there by Colonel. He gets up back in towards 2nd position, but a long race ahead of him if he wants to try and catch up to Attengren in 1st, who's currently 9.6 seconds out there in the lead.
It's been a really controlled race from Atten. Early on, I just saw someone go off while spectating Tim. I'm not sure who that was. I think it was Lee, who's gone off at turn 4, rejoining the track just ahead of these guys in 2nd, 3rd and 4th.
Needs to be careful here with Wolfie and Wiggly Star going through. That could give Wiggly Star the chance he needs though, going up in towards the next corner. Don't forget, for Wiggly's strategy, he needs to keep tabs on Colonel and clear the Alfa Romeo in front of him. He's going to go up the inside as he into turn number 6. He's going to go up the inside here. That's an unconventional overtaking spot. They're going to go door to door now on the exit and up and towards the latter stages of the lap. Can Wiggly make a move here on the inside? It would take some big cojones to make that happen, and it's not going to happen on this occasion for the Swede.
Yeah, Wolfie just had so much more drive on exit. I think Wrigley was a bit hesitant going through turn 6. I don't think he was expecting to get so much drive, but he's going to now try and go round the outside of the final corner.
And
he's going to get a good run, but Wolfie decides to bail out and come into the pits.
I think that must be to cover Bonnie, who has hit Kaz. Bonnie's hit Kaz, and Kaz is round and into the wall, and on the grass, sorry, taking the Indy layout. And that looks like a miscommunication there between Kaz and Bonnie. Kaz trying to get out of the way, being lapped there, and then Bonnie just tried to drive through the Englishman.
Yeah, unfortunate. Just got a replay because I missed it, but yeah, that definitely would have cost Bonnie quite a bit of time.
Yeah, but nonetheless, those still come out 3 seconds clear of Wolfie in 2nd now. We'll have to see what kind of pace Bonnie has, and if they can close the gap to Wiggly Style in front.
Yeah, Bonnie and Wolfie now on the soft compound tyres. It's going to be interesting, like you say, if they can close down Wiggly, who's on the mediums. We've got 15 laps. We've done 15 laps, sorry. We've got 30 minutes left to go. It's going to be interesting to see if Wiggly also makes another pit stop for the softs, or maybe even super softs if they're available. I'm not sure.
Supers are not available. Soft, medium, and the hard tyre.
So it will be interesting to see if they pit later on for the soft tyres to really go for it at the end. Maybe take fastest lap away from Tim.
Possibly. As indeed fastest lap is worth 1 point here. Currently Attengren taking the total maximum 16 points from the first round here.
Oh, someone's off at the exit of turn 2. There's an arrow backwards. And it is that's a lot of damage, and he's right in the middle of the track.
Oh, no.
He gets out of the way though, just in time for Colonel to go on through.
Yeah, keeps nicely out of the way of Wiggly Style and Bonnie as well. Oh, he's got spun again.
Yeah, he's got the rear suspension and rear aero damage. He just needs to slow things down a little bit, bring it back to the pits, and repair the damage. It is a lot of damage on that BMW.
Wolfie there gaining on lead in front. That's a lapped car, so expect lead to be getting out of the way of the Alpha. 4 tenths up on his lap time there, Wolfie, as they enter sector 3, and that is off. That is lead, unsurprisingly, in the E-Brit Racing Porsche. Yeah, just proving how easy it is to make a mistake around it. It's a very tricky track, this, and off again there at turn number 7. Going to keep out nicely out of the way of Vines there. However, Vines goes through. Ted now passes the Kraz converts in 7th position. He finds himself in no man's land a bit really here. Ted 11 or 12 seconds behind Vines, but 8 seconds ahead of Dan.
Yeah, you can kind of see it on the map as well. Everyone's kind of spaced themselves out pretty much evenly. It almost looks like a practice session going on the map, with no one really gaining on anyone. But I guess it will all come down to strategy at the end of the race, when we've got the soft runners closing on mediums, or fresh soft runners closing on drivers who have stayed out on Warner soft tyre. So I think the thing is with GT Sport that's different to other racing games is the strategy and the overtakes. They all happen either at the start or the end of the races, because the strategy really converges on one another. The middle of races kind of dies down, where all the different strategies kind of equalise and cancel each other out.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Nancy, as we are approaching half race distance here, about 25 minutes in. Attengren still leads, has led every single lap of this race.
And they're still setting some competitive lap times on those mediums. He's only a second off of his fastest lap, and you look at his lap times and they are really consistent. It doesn't look like he is going, well, at the minute, I don't want to say anything and put him off, but he hasn't put a foot wrong so far.
Oh, you see that 23.3, 23.5, 23.5 again, 23.7. As Oswaldo Gold is disconnected from the lobby, he will not be able to join back. That will go down as a DNF. Yeah, they're almost half a second quicker than Colonel Sanders on that last lap. Wiggly Star heading through turn number 1 now, on 1 minute 24.3 for him. 1 second down on Bonnie. Bonnie on those soft tyres now, be looking to close that gap up in front, but Wolfie is also gaining a little bit on Bonnie. Last couple of laps, lost a 10th on that lap.
I think Kern also made a mistake on the exit of turn 1. He ran a little bit wide, saw the gravel kicked up. That didn't help him in his pursuit of Tim. The gap 10.8 seconds. It's going to take, well, I think it's going to have to take a mistake from Tim or a different strategy to close down that gap. Obviously no safety cars or no automatic safety cars in GT Sport. But there's throughout the field, the gaps are fairly significant. We've got 11.5, 3.2 seconds. I think Bonnie Wolfie for 4th place is probably the closest battle on track at the moment.
Yeah, certainly looking that way.
What's interesting is that Wolfie seemed to have more pace than Bonnie on the mediums. But now that both drivers on the softs, it just looks like Bonnie's now got the upper hand. Maybe it's a trait of the Corvette that it just doesn't work well on the harder compounder tyres.
Yeah, as Bonnie, they're doing a 1 minute 23.5, although on that last lap, Wolfie doing a 1:23.1, so 4 tenths quicker for the Irishman. Bonnie's tyres, of course, 1 lap older than Wolfie's, came in a lap earlier, and that is would explain the most of the 2-second advantage that they currently now enjoy. But with that weak slipstream on Wolfie, will be starting to get the benefit a little bit from that slipstream down the back straight, and indeed down the main straight as well, but will also be feeling the effects of the dirty air. Both of these guys, though, still over half a second quicker than Wiggly Style in front, and they and they can run the soft tyre again at the end of the race.
Tim ran wide on the exit of turn 9. I think that's the first mistake I've seen him make all race. It might have cost him a little bit of time. Actually gained a little bit of time on Kerner, but now as Kerner makes his way through turn 9, that gap starts to come down now to 11.8 seconds. So in theory, well, that mistake hasn't actually cost him too much time.
Really has not, as still there. Colonel in the 1 minute 24s. Tim still on 1 minute 23.7, almost a second a lap quicker. Wiggly Style across the line is a 25.0. That is really not what he needs at this stage in time.
Yeah, might have made a mistake or got caught up in some traffic, although the majority of the traffic is going through turn 6 now, so maybe a mistake on the medium tyres. And, well, it might soon be under pressure from Bonnie Evil. A little bit twitchy on the exit of turn 3. That's lost him about a tenth and a half. Bonnie's now closing the gap to Wiggly, and Wolfie's now closing the gap to Bonnie. So in the next few laps, we could have a three-way fight for what at this minute is a final podium position.
And that could be incredibly tasty indeed in the first race, first GT Sport race in the NRL. Bonnie 1.4 seconds quicker there than Wiggly on the last lap, but gets wide onto the grass on the exit of turn number 5.
It'll be a nice battle to watch. 3 different cars from 3 different continents. I think that's the first time I've ever said that doing a GT Sport commentary.
A Toyota, a Corvette, and an Alfa Romeo. Europe, the Americas, and Japan will represent it.
And I can't remember the last time in real life I've seen an Alfa Romeo fighting a Corvette or a Toyota. It's either never happened or I just, yeah.
Well, Wolfie now, 8 tenths behind Bonnie, really getting back into the 1 minute 22s for Wolfie on the previous lap. They did about a second quicker than Bonnie as well, but Bonnie a second quicker than Wiggly, who is in front of both of these two at the moment.
Yeah, and I think Wiggly's struggling a little bit for grip. The rear end doesn't seem to be doing what he wants. It just seems to be all over the place at the minute. The tyres on the Alfa Romeo look much better than the tyres on the Corvette.
Indeed they
Wiggly
do.
as well, with minimal tyre degradation. So Bonnie might be not in the best position here. He's also in the middle of this battle, which means he's got to attack and defend at the same time, whilst having higher tyre wear than the cars around him.
Indeed. Hello Yordi, everything is going fairly well so far. If you're just joining us, Attengren took pole position and 2 championship points for doing so. Since then it's been fairly straightforward for him, led from the start and has led every single lap up until now. Lap number 21, 20 minutes also left on the clock. Choosing to start on the soft tyres at the front 2, streamed off into the distance with Wiggly style in tow as well, but now after coming into the pit lane, Wiggly has changed onto a set of the medium tyres and is now being caught here by Bonnie and Wolfie as well. Some incidents further down towards the back of the pack as well, which saw multiple drivers get damaged and have to peel off into the pit lane. But everyone now circulating back on the track, and no incidents for a while, but we're about to get an overtake, I'm fairly certain, between these two as Vines, the first of the top 6 into the pit lane. We'll see what tyres he goes on to. It is a set of the medium compound tyres. So will this be to the end of the race? That is the question.
Yeah, I think he started on softs and then went for another set of softs, I think. So is now in to make his medium stop using 2 different tyre compounds. And at Wolfie's actually set a purple 3rd sector.
Yeah, I think the slipstream helping out with that a little bit. But Bonnie now, for his particular strategy, really does need to overtake Wiggly as quickly as possible. You can see those soft tyres already degrading. Could that be another drawback, perhaps, of the Corvette? It just likes to chew through its tyres. It works them a little bit too hard for their own good.
And this is where Wolfie and his Alfa Romeo will come into play. I think Wolfie's hoping these two will hold each other up, and well, I say that, Wiggly decides to come into the pits from the mediums. I'm assuming this might be for the soft compound tyres.
It could be a long way to take a set of the softs. You've already seen how much tyre wear Bonnie has. It is for a set of the soft tyres. But as the fuel starts to calm down, the car will handle better and the tyres will go off less. So we'll have to wait and see if this strategy pans out for Wiggly, or pans out well for Wiggly, sorry.
Yeah, and also Wolfie and Bonnie pitted from the mediums onto the softs fairly early in this race, so they might have to stop again. Well, they've still got 18 minutes left to go. They might go on to another set of softs.
They stopped on lap 19, it's now lap 23, and Bonnie's tyres have really worn out. Could it be another stop as well, possibly, for Wiggly? Let's not discount him, he's just gone onto the set of the softs now.
Oh, Bonnie's off!
Oh,
Bonnie's off! And I think he got on the gravel, sorry, on the grass, on the left-hand side, on the outside, trying to maximise the turning. I've got a replay on my end. He's got on the inside curb. He's taken too much inside curb, and that's caused the car to spin out uncontrollably. And I think maybe the worn softs might have been a factor in that incident.
And that is hugely unfortunate for Bonnie. Those tyres will be absolutely done now as Wiggly actually goes through and takes that position on track. Disaster here for Bonnie in the BCR esports car. Will they come into the pits? No. Stays out and continues to circulate around the circuit. Circulates around the circuit? Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, I can see Bonnie pitting in the next 2 or 3 laps. 23-second gap to Ted. 17 minutes left to go. Might try and go for fastest lap whilst doing so. And if Ted does get past, being on the fresher softs, you'd imagine Bonnie might be able to get that move done. And Ted is actually under pressure from Vines behind.
Going up in towards turn number 1, Vines trying to work it around the outside. Ted protects the inside line, but Vines pushes him now through turn 1. They're going to go side by side up towards turn number 2 at Druid's corner. Can Vines make the move on the inside? He breaks later, and the Alfa Romeo squeezes Ted out of him on the outside and gets the position done. Good move there from the Brit.
And a fresh set of mediums as well will be likely going to the end of the race on that set of tyres.
You would definitely think so, wouldn't you? But now, can Ted get a better run? I'm telling you, he has got a better run out of that corner now. Vines will have to go defensive here if he wants to keep the position from Ted behind. But Ted just doesn't have enough in the straight lines. Colonel Sanders is into the pits. So Colonel once again pulling the plug on the pit strategy of a slightly earlier stop than Attengren. Will come out behind Wolfie, but ahead of Wiggly Style. I'm sure Wolfie will be hoping that Colonel and Wiggly can hold each other up a little bit, so he can scamper away.
Yeah, Wolfie playing the strategy really well in this race. He's now up into 2nd place. Can't quite remember where he started, but he's going to have a rapid BMW in pursuit, 3.1 seconds. Let's see what he can make of that gap on the fresh set of soft compound tyres. It's already come down by 2, 3, 4 tenths.
There. It's very going to get very interesting out in the front of the pack. 15 minutes left on the clock. Does Attengren respond to Colonel Sanders' pit stop? Coming around the final corner now. And does react, so Tim does come into the pits. We expect this to be a set of the soft tyres, I'd have thought, this late on in the race. Takes off a set of the mediums. We'll see what tyres he's gone on to once he comes out of the pit lane, and it is indeed a set of the soft tyres.
I even try and push for another new fastest lap, trying to extend his I'm trying to say 2 things at once. Wolfie's into the pits. Wolfie's into the pits.
So let's see what tyres the Irishman goes on to. You'd expect as well another set of the soft compound tyre. It is indeed another set of the softs, and comes out just behind Wiggly Sub, ahead of Bon Evil, and that is massive there, because Wolfie turns out had a pit stop over Bonnie because of that crash that Bonnie had.
I think that's kind of it for Bonnie, unless there's a mistake from Wolfie in that personal battle between the two. Bonnie's tyres are shredded. Ted's into the pits, and with Vines on a fresh set of mediums going to the end, I think Bonnie needs to decide whether he wants to go to the end on those soft tyres and risk another spin or another incident, or come into the pits, put on a fresh set of soft tyres, maybe go for fastest lap attempt, and hunt down Vines in the process.
I don't really think there's any possible way for Bonnie to go to the end of the race. Look at that front left tyre already, and a lot of long, medium and high speed right-handers around this track for these cars. You'd really think that's going to be a very tall order to get to the end from here.
Yeah, I think probably the safe bet is to come into the pits for a fresh set of softs, minimise the amount of mistakes, and just push quality lap till the end. And you'd think on a fresh set of softs compared to 3, 4, 5 lap old mediums, you'd imagine that a fresher softs would have the tyre advantage at that stage.
As Bonnie does come into the pits.
Colonel has actually set the fastest lap of the race with a 22.3.
taking away that one championship point. We saw in qualifying Colonel and Attengrim being separated by just over 200ths in terms of quali pace on the soft tyre. So whether or not that will be replicated now with them being very close on track, or very close in terms of pace, sorry, then 14 seconds apart on track, but whether we'll see that replicated now or not will be interesting to see in the outcome of the race.
Tim's responding though. He's purple through the third sector. He's purple through the fourth sector. 2 tenths up through the fourth sector. I reckon this is going to be another fastest lap from Tim. He's got a 1:22.3 to beat. This may even be in the 1:21s if he hooks up the final corner beautifully. We'll have to wait and see. It's a short run up to the line. What's it going to be? It is a 22.3. Narrowly beats it by 300ths of a second.
Well, can Colonel respond? That is the question. It's going to take some doing to beat that lap time. But you would have thought that Colonel could come into the pits, come out just behind Wiggly, get some slipstream, and because you can overtake around this track and indeed on this game, he could just blast past Wiggly, have another attempt at the fastest lap. But again, Tim could also do the exact same thing.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to risk it at this stage of the race with 11 minutes left to go. I think he might keep second place for now. At the end of the day, it is only a point. It could be a crucial point, but I think Colonel would much rather have second place than pit a 10th for fastest lap and might not get past Wiggly. But who knows? Someone is coming into the pits. That is Converts from 10th place.
And yeah, we'll see what tyres the Porsche, Brit E-Racing Porsche, decides to go on to. It's another set of the soft compounds of tyre. But one thing to remember here as well is that because Colonel fueled up on that first stint by mistake, I think, he is now running heavier than all of the other cars in this race. So it could be even harder for him to try and get this gap down and indeed get the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, over the past few laps, he's been lapping quicker than Wiggly. It's a 22.4 this lap. Wiggly's last lap was a 23.7. So that's quite a difference. 1.4 seconds between Colonel and Wiggly. So I think Colonel is probably just going to stay out and keep this one. Yeah.
And Wolfie, up through turn number 2, was actually 4 tenths quicker than Wiggly on that last lap. Has got better tyres as well, slightly more fuel though.
Yeah, on my screen it just said Colonel's gone purple through the third sector, but then he's also 2.5 tenths off his personal best. So I'm not sure what the game's saying there. Who knows if he's purple or not. Dan's into the pits from softs. Might probably go into another set of soft tyres. He might attempt the fastest lap.
Saying Colonel's 5 tenths down on my screen. F1 Lover just joined. Yeah, it's been a fairly clean race so far. Everyone keeping it out of each other at least. Not necessarily out of the barriers though.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more unforgiving tracks Brands have to get, especially in the Group 3 cars. Even if you dip a wheel into the gravel and to the grass, it can cause the back end to spin out. If you go slightly wide, you'll just find yourself understeering, and that was not what Tim wanted with the blue flags. Almost made contact with the Porsche, had to go around the outside onto the grass to get the move done, but maintains his lead. No dramas, or no major dramas, thankfully. But yeah, it's quite an unforgiving track.
Yeah, very, very unforgiving indeed, I would agree that assessment. If you are just joining us now, Attengrim qualified on pole, took 2 championship points for that, and has led from the beginning. He now leads on lap 30 with just over 8 minutes left to run. Colonel Sanderts fell off the line behind Bonnie, and Wiggly, I believe, passed both of them and back up into second place, but just hasn't really had the pace to match Attengrim all race, really. 8 minutes left to run. Yeah.
There's about 5 or 6 laps left in this race.
To be follow Bonnie now through to number 5 in the Corvette. Bonnie as well was running in the battle for third, but had a mistake on the exit of this corner indeed, and spun around to taking them out of contention for the podium unfortunately this evening. And in the last of the points paying positions, Aston coming under pressure from the Scout Dan, his teammate down there in Drama Alert Nation. Drama Alert Racing, not Drama Alert Racing Nation.
Wolfie's last few laps have been apart from the last lap he's done, his previous few laps have been quicker than Wiggly Star. The gap is only 3 seconds. That might seem like a lot, or it might seem not quite there. It might seem like quite a small gap, but in these cars, it's really through corner exit alone, you can gain quite a lot of time. And Wolfie closing that gap down with 7 minutes left to go, he might find himself on the back of Wiggly Star, who's made a mistake. The gap's now gone down to 1.2, 1.5. I think he went wide through turn 4. Now the race is on for the final podium position here.
It really is about 5 or 6 laps left to go. And Nasty, I think what you've just done there is called a commentator's curse.
I've just seen the replay, and he's gone way too deep. He's almost taken the Indy circuit. He hit the red and white barrier on the right hand side. Thankfully no damage, just a little bit of a brush there. But now we've got 6-7 tenths. 6-7 minutes left to go. Battle is on for third place in the final podium position.
Indeed it is, and Wolfie with younger tyres than Wiggly's got such a good run as well. Off the penultimate corner, coming down in towards the final right-hander of this racetrack. Wiggly Start keeps it all together and on the track as he head up towards turn number 1. Wolfie may be a bit too far behind at this stage, going to set him up off of turn 4 for a move down the back straight perhaps, or maybe into turn 1 because Wiggly's gone wide. That's going to give Jimmy now, or Wolfie, all the invitation, that he needs to try and go up the inside into turn number 2, but can't get it done on this occasion through turn 3.
Same time, Aston and Dan are battling away for 8th place as well. So 2 individual battles happening with the final 5 minutes left to go. Like I said, halfway through the race, it's all kicking off here at the end.
And battling for the final point there, Aston and Dan. As they're actually getting blue flags from Tim as well. How accommodating will they be to the race leader? As that Wolfie, it's just a little bit too far behind. As Tim's still stuck here, behind the 2 battling cars for 9th, 8th and 9th, the 2 Drama Alert Racing cars, going in towards turn number 1. Dan on the outside of Aston. Dan's to try and get the switchback, is he? On his teammate. Aston Grid is right there as well. It's going to get very feisty between these guys. Tim sent it on Dan, and that looked like a genuine overtaking move there from Tim. These 2 not really giving Tim the respect that he kind of deserves at this point in the race. Aston's still ahead of him at this point in time as Tim's just trying to get through and get these cars lapped. But they are in a battle, they are free to run their own race, but Aston's had a poor exit, and now these guys are going to go 3 wide here. Tim's gone to the outside, Dan's going to try and he's tucking into this slip, going to try and follow Aston going through. Aston on the inside, they're still battling. Aston backs out of it, but now he's going to be under pressure from his teammate Dan. Dan looking up the inside, that's very opportunistic there from the Drama Alert Racing driver.
I think Aston probably should have let him go through before turn 4 and then used his slipstream on exit in towards turn 5 to stay ahead of Dan. Does though maintain ahead of Dan, but Wiggly Star maintains ahead of Wolfie, but for how much longer, the Alpha knows. In the slipstream,
it's fine.
Wiggly's dipped a wheel onto the grass, but he's kept it all under control going through turn 5.
And Vine's off there at the final corner, but Wiggly and Wolfie separated by nothing, and Wiggly's almost wide again, and Wolfie actually pushing him through. There's a Porsche off in the background there as well, but the battle for third is really heating up here. Just over 3 minutes left to run in this race. Not very long to go now before we decide our first winner in the GT Sport NRL Championship. As through the final corner they come now, Wolfie right on the coattails of Wiggly as they head up the hill towards turn number 1.
Aston and Dan still battling away. Dan trying it around the outside at turn 4. Beautiful move from Dan around the outside at turn 4. Not often you see a move around the outside there. Gets ahead of his teammate. Beautiful stuff from Dan. Can he keep it in towards turn 5? Yes, he can. And gets himself an extra point if it was to finish as it is.
Well, the point, I think, actually. The 1 point he would get. These two really fighting over the wooden spoon here for the singular point in this first race. But Aston with a 5-10 penalty, that could prove critical to the outcome of this battle. Can Wolfie finally make a move on Wiggly? Going down the back straight now, 0.3 of a second. He's gaining all the time, but just needs a bit more straight, really. That Alfa Romeo, its strong suit is not in a straight line, and it looks like the Toyota there just about has enough advantage to stay ahead.
Tim comes into the pits, interestingly, maybe to try and keep the fastest lap, just in case. He does come out though ahead and still in first place.
Very far ahead in first place there, it turns out. Colonel does not follow him in, so potentially a missed opportunity there, but Wolfie is running out of opportunities. He's got to have 2 laps as they come across the line now to try and get past Wiggly style. As they cross line the platform. He hasn't really got a good exit off the final corner as well. Going down towards turn number 1, can Wolfie set him up here? Get a better exit off the corner, have a go into Druids. He's going to be so close. Does he dive it up the inside? Yes, he does. Wolfie sending it. Wiggly gives him the room, but not enough pace there on the inside for Wolfie to try and get past the Swede. Oh, and then barely even slowing down behind Wiggly style now, coming off of turn 3 in towards turn number 4. This is going to be the critical corner. This is where Wolfie has to set him up. He's taking a different line. They've almost come together already, but that's going to compromise Wolfie's run now on the exit. You can see the gap actually going up there, despite Wolfie being in the slipstream, and it's going to be a move into turn number 5, is it? No, too far behind for the Irishman at this stage, but that turn 4 exit's so important if Wolfie wants to try and make this move. As Attengren now will come across the line, he will start the final lap of this race. Well, we're keeping our eyes glued down here to Wiggly style and to Wolfie. Wolfie looking at the outside. This could be it between these. It's going to go down to the final lap of the race. Wolfie and Wiggly side by side going into the final corner. Wolfie around the outside. Can he make the move stick? No. He's going to try and get in on the exit, get the up and under as David Croft bites the corner. But Wolfie just about gets to the inside in time going in towards turn number 1. But the Alfa Romeo just doesn't have enough horsepower. Now he's trying to get around the outside at turn 1. Trying setting up Wiggly style in towards Druid's corner. Turn number 2. Can Wolfie go down the inside here? Wiggly goes offensive. Wolfie's going to have to sweep around the outside if he wants it. Wiggly just about keeps the car pointing in the right direction and on the track, but Wolfie's got the run out of Druids and in towards turn number 3. There's contact between the two. Wolfie's got the position. He's up in towards 3rd and Wolfie's ahead. We're coming back up into Tim. He's not quite out of the final corner yet, so we've got a few more moments here of these guys going through and going at it, but Wolfie looks like he's just about cleared enough of a gap, and what a move from Wolfie on the last lap of the race. Cojones out. He has made it work, but Attengren now, who has led every single lap of this race, he's going to start off the championship here in the NRL GT Sport League in fine fashion with a grand slam. That is pole position, the race win, and the fastest lap. Takes a full 16 points from Brands Hatch. He wins the first race of the season.
Great drive from Tim, as you say. He's won the lot here in the first race and it's definitely put a mark on what's to come. It's the battle for 3rd place though over. Wiggly's got a good run on the exit of the penultimate corner. Wolfie goes defensive. That's not going to help his line in the final corner. Wiggly's got a good run, but I don't think it's enough. I think his tyres have just died that little much that Wolfie's going to finish on the podium. Just about.
By 1/10 of a second. That is ridiculous. After 50 minutes of racing, the final position on the podium being decided by 1/10 of a second. Incredibly well done to Wolfie and to Wiggly. Both of them drove amazingly to finish that close to each other at the end of the race. But yeah, that will draw to a close here. The last race, the final race results being confirmed there. We had 2 retirees from the race, but Tim takes a full 16 points home to Union Esports in the Mercedes garage, and that was a very, very interesting race indeed. So I'll see if we get any donuts, perhaps.
Yeah, I thought the line was a lot closer there, and I saw Wiggly going for it down the inside. I was like, I don't want to just say Wolfie's going to finish on the podium, and then the line just kept going. But a tenth separating Wiggly and Wolfie. A great battle for third place. Hopefully that's more to come in the future as well.
Hang on, just doing a quick. Just gonna put that in. Hopefully we get some donuts. Just gonna have a look at the race results. So yes, Attenborough taking pole, taking the fastest lap, taking the win, leading every single lap, as you can see here from the lap chart, which we also get in GT Sport. The lines at the top not changing whatsoever. As we are going to get some donuts. There we go. All you have to do is ask, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, it's you're out on the track as well then. I see in your M&M M&M Nissan.
Other chocolates are available.
Other chocolates are indeed available. As your race winner there, Attenborough, doing donuts on the main straight for the British fans. As you do indeed love to see on a set of the hard tyres as well. And P2 in the race as well, Colonel Sanders. Both of these guys finishing on the podium today. A class of the field, really. No one could really touch them at all. But yeah, from me, from Natty, from everyone over here at the NRL, that's going to be round 1 of the season finished. Join us next week. We'll be at Lago Maggiore, same time, same place here on the Twitch. You know what to do, and make sure you check out our partners as well. Forget Me Not, All Metal Recycling, and indeed Interrogator as well. But for me, from Natty, that's going to be it. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.